We're all saying, hold on one second. Hey, Punk, it's Rock. This is not a joke. I'm literally calling you from the middle of the Staples Center with about 15,000 strong. I hope you can hear this. Again, it's not a rib. They are chanting your name. CM Punk! CM Punk! CM Punk! CM Punk! CM Punk!
Welcome to Review-A-Raw. It's John Pollock along with Wai Ting. Wai, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Happy President's Day.
Is that what that is?
In the States it is.
Oh, okay.
Here it is in Ontario. It is Family Day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about this. Both before and after Raw, The Rock came out in LA. And did you hear what he did afterwards, after Raw went off the air?
I did. Well, first of all, we should tell people why he was even at Raw.
Well, he's there because they have already begun filming the movie inspired by Paige's Family, the Fighting for My Family movie. So they were filming after Raw. They were redoing Paige's debut on the main roster when she showed up the night after WrestleMania 30, challenged AJ Lee, and won the title, which you and I were at. Little did we know, Wai, we were watching history that would be documented in a movie one day.
Maybe they'll get somebody to play us in the crowd.
Well, they would have to definitely shoot very high up and in the dark, because that's where we were watching that show from, in the dark, in the press area.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I actually have a report here from a listener.
Oh, okay, great.
This comes from @BigShot512.
Well, why don't you read the live report, then?
I will read the live report. He says, I'm at Raw, and I'm too drunk to post on the message board. Hence the DM. He says The Rock came up before the show to make sure people stayed after the filming of the Paige movie. Stayed for the...
And he told people not to chant for him during the show.
That's nice.
Which I don't think would have been an issue. I don't think anyone was going to be chanting for The Rock. They not brought him out there. But anyway, go on.
So The Rock came out after the show, and people started chanting CM Punk for whatever reason. And so The Rock, of course, decides to call CM Punk live to appease the crowd. And he called CM Punk. It went to voicemail. And then The Rock led the crowd to cheer and boo and etc. for cutaways to use for post-editing. And then Punk apparently called back, but The Rock missed the call.
Oh, no.
And he blamed the Wi-Fi. So then after that, it was who's playing Paige, by the way?
The name
is it just some actress? Like not
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so
not Florence. I don't know how you pronounce her nname.
So anyway,
G-H.
I don't know if she was actually wrestling here or not, but they actually did have a match between her, whoever was playing Paige, and Taya Trinidad, who was playing AJ Lee. And apparently she actually came out and did the whole AJ thing, including skipping out and around the ring and coming out to her music. And apparently the match was terrible between the actresses. But The Rock was having fun throwing jabs at Cena and Reigns left and right to get the crowd on his side. I don't know what that meant.
He apparently before the show, he went out and said about this movie. He said, John Cena's going to be in this movie. And then he's like, I'm just kidding. We want to make a good movie.
Yeah, and then this guy says it was very weird to see actresses play people doing a worked wrestling match. Crowd threw out a "You Deserve It" chant for the actress playing Paige after she won.
Could you imagine? How weird would that have been if CM Punk had called back and then The Rock gave the phone to the actress playing his wife?
Wow, that is really strange.
How weird would that have been?
Oh, that's got to be why they're chanting CM Punk, because of AJ. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what prompted it, but I mean, to go out there,
yeah.
I mean, you would have to have had The Rock to go out there and be like, okay, we got to film some scenes. We need you to cheer, and then boo. Like, only The Rock could have come out and done this.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
They did this once at the Nitro I was at in Toronto. They were filming stuff for that Jesse Ventura movie. I remember that made for TV NBC special they did on Jesse Ventura's life.
Okay. I assume they would have had to do it in many instances, like, Ready to Rumble, any type of, like, even the wrestler, didn't they shoot some stuff at, like, an ROH and...
Yep.
Scenes like
they did the wrestler there.
Yeah.
So quite a fond history of live shows being used as backdrops for movies. So anyway, that was all of the fun from the Staples Center. We started the show with a graphic for George the Animal Steele. And last week, I said this half jokingly, but not really even jokingly, about the different tiers of death acknowledgements. And we saw the different tiers tonight. Yep. We had the top tier of George the Animal Steele.
The premium package.
The premium package, i.e., the WWE, I guess you have a connection to the NBC Saturday Night's Main Event era. And he got the graphic and the video tribute. Then the package below was the graphic.
The basic.
With no video.
The basic package.
The basic package.
Yeah.
If you were going to grab something at the fridge, you may have missed it package for Ivan Koloff, a former WWF champion, a legitimate star in every territory he worked for. With over 30 decades, he got a graphic. And then there was the don't opt for any insurance on your travel package, Nicole Bass package, where she got no acknowledgement on the show.
Yeah, it really was
quite the range.
3 tiers, yeah.
Yeah, we got to see all 3 executed on Monday's show.
I suppose this is very morbid to even discuss, but anyway, I shouldn't say. Never mind. I was going to say the package above the premium package, I guess you would get a show dedicated to you.
I guess so, yeah. Mind you, that I would say even the George Steele treatment on this show was not at the level Jimmy Snuka received.
Why? I thought it was comparable. I thought it was actually exactly the same.
I feel like there
Snuka had some tweets, I guess.
Snuka had like a lot more on the website.
Oh,
and
okay, yeah.
They even put out like the video. They put out the email of like celebrate his life and all that. I mean, whatever we're talking about. Maybe it was the way it came off as well on the show. I mean, it was just.
I think Snuka maybe was in there for more of the peak than George Steele, perhaps. Or maybe they just kind of consider. I mean, it all really depends on who are the personalities they consider as part of their family and how big a part of the family that they consider them in. Yeah,
it's strange at times. I guess Test was not part of the family at all because he wasn't acknowledged at all when he died. He didn't even. Yeah. He got the Nicole Bass package. He died.
There's certainly a lot more favorable towards deaths that don't, that might not bring about any type of negative publicity to the company. And I guess in the cases of George Steele, it was more of the circumstances were maybe more favorable from a PR perspective.
Yeah, I would say in all 3 of these cases, I don't think there was any. I really think that's overblown the bad publicity they're going to get. I think that's something in their head that really, especially for these 3. I mean, Christ, Ivan Koloff died of liver cancer at 74.
Yeah, not to say that was an instance, but there was a time when guys were dying.
That was the reason for it at that time.
Yeah,
I mean, that was their thinking at least. Anyway, we recapped the Festival of Friendship at the start of the show, and then Michael Cole welcomed us to Raw for episode 1239.
Okay.
It's a lot of shows. The lights were dimmed with Kevin Owens inside the middle of the ring in a suit, and he says that the spotlight is finally solely on him. And if he was told that he would be defending the title against Bill Goldberg when he was a teenager in the main event of a pay-per-view, he would have said that they were crazy. Not because he's headlining as a champion, but because of the opponent. And they start chanting for Goldberg, and Owens says that chant makes Goldberg think he's invincible. Owens does not believe the hype. Even when he was a kid watching him in WCW, he didn't care. Goldberg didn't impress him. Owens says that Lesnar took him lightly, and Goldberg got lucky. And he knows what to expect. He doesn't have to beat Goldberg. He just has to outlast him, because the longer a Goldberg match goes, the more it tips in the opponent's favor.
I love that. I mean, I don't think it's Owens was speaking of this as if it was like a commonly known fact about Goldberg, which really it's not. Like they've never kind of introduced this weakness to the Goldberg character at all. But I love the fact that he has here because thus far Goldberg has kind of, at least in his current run, has been portrayed as this invincible monster. And Owens here basically introduces Goldberg's kryptonite, and that's a lack of a gas tank. And I think that makes the matchup far more interesting, and it makes Goldberg more interesting.
Owens said it won't be a 90-second sprint like he's used to. He's going to outsmart him. I know how to play the game better than anyone else. He's not going to let Goldberg use his title as a prop in his superhero fantasy. He's going to show Bill and his son that superheroes don't exist and that Goldberg is nothing. And then he says about Jericho, and he just drops the microphone and will not address the attack on Chris to end. Great start to the show, I thought, from Owens.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the spotlight bit. And, you know, it's never a question that Owens would he or wouldn't he deliver in these scenarios. Anytime you give the guy a microphone and tell him, hey, I need this, we need the story point, we need you to build up to this match. I think he can always be counted on to do an excellent job, which he did here. And what I liked about this was that, you know, everybody was tuning in to hear his reaction to Jericho, but the guy quickly shifted focus to Bill Goldberg. And that's the matchup that he has at the pay-per-view. And he keeps you guessing about Jericho, which is the long-term program. And overall, you know, still builds that anticipation while keeping you guessing about what Jericho, his role is going to be.
Yeah, and I was glad they kept Jericho off this show. He was actually advertised for tonight's show on their website, but it was definitely, I think, would have been such a mistake to have Jericho on tonight's show already, just a week after the attack.
Yeah, and I would like to think that, you know, somebody like Chris Jericho himself, even if they wanted him to be on the show, I feel like Jericho has enough pride and enough sense in his own storylines and enough, you know, say in whether or not he should appear for himself to basically kind of keep away from being on TV.
So then we had Sheamus and Cesaro taking on Enzo and Big Cass in a number one contenders match for the tag titles. Enzo comes out. He grabs a couple of haters sign from the crowd and says that Cesaro and Sheamus must be California dreaming if they think they're beating them. And that was his promo. He just handed it off to Cass for the soft deal, and that was it.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot. And maybe after last week, perhaps it was for the better. You know, you can't come up with all-star material every single week, I don't think.
So they had their tag match. This featured Sheamus hitting a spinning heel kick into the corner onto Cass. Enzo came in and got sent off the top to the floor, and then Cesaro ran around ringside with a European uppercut. And as they go to break, Cesaro turns to the crowd and says, "Yeah, how is he doing? Not that well." And then we go to the break, come back. Enzo leaped for this hot tag, but he got cut off by a Cesaro uppercut, which was the highlight of this match. Mm-hmm. Cass and Sheamus got tagged in. Cass hit the Stinger Splash. Cesaro tagged himself in. Sheamus gets booted to the floor by Cass, and then Cesaro hits a reverse cross off the top. Enzo stops the swing, gets tossed to the floor, and then Cesaro turns around into the East River Crossing, and Cass pins Cesaro.
Yeah, these matches have been kind of interesting because both teams are having to play the roles of heels and baby faces within the body of the match. I mean, for the most part, anytime Enzo is in there, you have Cesaro and Sheamus basically working as heels and cutting Enzo off. And it works. They get the crowd cheering for Enzo and not necessarily booing Cesaro and Sheamus, but certainly cheering for Enzo. But then, like, when Cass tags in, you have Cesaro and Sheamus playing underdogs to Cass. And then, you have Cesaro working his babyface comebacks against him. And that works too. So, in the end, I don't necessarily know if you're, really building more favor for either team. But it's interesting to see both teams basically switch roles throughout.
Enzo got on the microphone after and said that they're the number one contenders. Cesaro and Sheamus are chicken tenders. And then repeatedly says that we got their kryptonite. And he said this over and over, ending with Sheamus murdering him with a boot on the floor and the crowd responding by chanting, "Thank you, Sheamus." An unthinkable chant 2 months ago.
Yeah, but I do get the sense, I mean, certainly with Enzo doing that little bit at the end, taunting the losers, he was designed to get a negative reaction for people to want to see him get his face kicked in, right? I guess this continues.
Then Mick Foley is backstage. He tracks down Kevin Owens and says that he has a match tonight with Sami Zayn when Owens was going to leave the building. He says that he thought Mick Foley liked Sami Zayn and says more guys are going to end up on the injured list than are in the locker room. They showed a video feature on Bayley reading her poem, My Success, from 2007. And the best part of this was the recap of her winning the title, celebrating with the fans, and then to demonstrate her fandom, showing photos of a young Bayley with the Iron Sheik and Ivory. Mm-hmm. What a hero to have.
What a combination of heroes.
Could you imagine the Iron Sheik and Bayley? What would that meeting be like? Could you just imagine?
God, I don't know. I don't know if it would be that all that comfortable. I'll say the video itself, recapping her win last week, I thought was really good. And it's very easy, I think, for, you and I especially, or for anybody watching these 3-hour shows to just skip through these recap videos. But I really do think these really deserve more attention because they're all just like great little works of art, all these little production pieces. I mean, they're able to distill these stories and these long matches that are sometimes really boring, but they're able to distill the story from within them and enhance every little bit to great effect. And, for anyone interested in video production, I think these videos have always just been such a great well of editing techniques and style for editors to watch. So I think they really do deserve more attention.
Yes, the editor could definitely pen their own poem called My Success based on this video. Charlotte then tweets that Bayley should relinquish the title and return it to her. Mick Foley's in his office and Roman Reigns walks in. Foley is on the phone, and I don't know if this is just something that you develop once you're in the WWE, but whenever someone's on the phone and someone walks in, they just immediately cut the call short with, I've got to go. And that's it. I've never had a phone call ever where it's been that seamless to get off a call, like just so quickly. I need to develop this.
Unless you preface by saying, hey, I'm on live TV right now. I'm going to have to go at any second.
Do you want me to just call you after the show? Do you want to text or something? Like, you sound busy right now. Yeah. No. We can talk. But the red light's on. So That's all.
At the beginning here, he talks about how he was welcoming one of the greatest guitarists in the world to be in attendance either tonight or another show. I would assume tonight because they're in LA, but I didn't hear who it was.
La Parka. Tanahashi, maybe. No?
Yeah. Van Hammer.
You know who's backstage? Steve Austin. He was quite the guitar player.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
Maybe he was practicing for Kurt Angle's induction to play the guitar.
Do we know who's inducting anybody yet?
No names of inductions yet. Hey, let's do this. Why don't I throw the name at you, and then you pick who you would want to induct them, okay? So let's start with tonight's one, Diamond Dallas Page. Who would you like to see induct DDP?
I mean, simply because of kind of the recent connection and for what a great speaker he is, I'd love to see Jake induct him. Even more so than Scott Hall. I think Jake is the story that people associate most with him, so I feel Jake is the one. And then who else?
Okay, then we have Teddy Long.
Teddy Long?
You know who I want. I want Doom.
Together?
Yeah, together. Can't do one without the other.
I don't know how many people associate Teddy Long with that WCW run, though.
I want him to come out with the do-rag and accept and end it with "Homie, don't play that."
Yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like they'll be more likely to kind of choose somebody from his WWE run. And
if it's John Laurinaitis, I'm gonna groan.
I don't know.
Oh, I guess they would have crossed paths in WCW and then had the association in WWE.
Yeah, did he? I didn't even watch that much of his stuff in SmackDown, or at least I don't remember too much. So I can't even really think of any names that are jumping off. Like, did he and Vicky have a lot of interaction?
Yeah, he was the assistant to Vicky at one point. He had the crush on. Remember that female Oksana?
Yeah.
The one who shattered Naomi's eye that one time.
I do. I don't think Oksana will be coming into.
She's not coming back.
Teddy Long. No.
Oh, okay.
I that one I'm kind of. I'll throw to you. Who would you like to see induct Teddy Long outside of Doom?
Outside of Doom.
Yeah.
I could definitely see just the way they're teasing it on TV. I could end up seeing Bradshaw just being put as that guy to induct him.
Sure. Okay. Why not?
How about the Midnight Express?
I think Jim Cornette would be the one that everybody wants to see.
100%.
I can't really think about too many other names. They weren't really my era.
I feel that's one where they're going to end up putting like Jordan and Gable to induct them.
Okay, I guess. Sure.
Like I see the thinking there, but 100% it should be Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
And then Kurt Angle, who should induct him?
Well,
if it's your call.
I do actually think Steve Austin is a great choice. Will it be Steve Austin? I could definitely see it being Steve Austin. I'm trying to think who else. Like who are his main rivals during his time? I mean,
when you think of him, you think of Stephanie. You think of
Brock, but Brock's not.
Brock would be awesome. Heyman would be great to induct him.
Does that make sense though?
No, I don't think it would be Heyman. Not for the main guy going in.
ECW and was so disgusted.
It could be Cena. Cena could put him in.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, to kind of tie it all together. It won't be Joe, but I would actually.
That's funny with Joe or AJ.
Stephanie would be a good choice. I'd actually go Steve Austin with that.
Yeah, lots of good choices.
Any more names?
Kurt.
Any more names to be announced for the class?
I mean, the ones that had been reported that were out there was like Regal, Christian, and then the Natural Disasters. I think that rounds out the Rick Rude, maybe.
They can't fit all those.
Well, how many? We've got 4 in so far.
Yeah. Usually the class is what, like 5?
No, there's usually more than that.
5 or 6.
I don't know. Look up last year's. I think 7 or 8 is around the number that got
that
in.
many?
Yeah.
Damn.
You've sat through them before. You'll be sitting through this year's one. Yeah. So anyway, this all off of Mick Foley's abrupt phone call. Roman Reigns walks in, and Foley calls Braun and Big Show one of the biggest main events they have ever had. And
literally?
Roman is... well, they were pushing it that it was like literally one of the biggest main events they've ever had.
But that's not even really true because they've had like 6-man tags and
their
tags.
WWE was actually fudging with the truth, I found. And tells Roman he's going to have to wait until Fastlane. Anderson and Gallows walk in. They want a rematch with Roman from last week, so Reigns accepts. Foley tells him to go find a partner, and Reigns says, nah, I'll face the tag champions alone.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
There is zero doubt in the world, in my mind, that Reigns is going heel. He was so just positioned as a heel throughout this entire show. Like, it just feels so... That's the only end result here with this character for me.
I agree with you, absolutely. I wouldn't kind of come up with that from this segment, though. What do you think?
Not just this segment, more so the last segment.
Oh,
but,
okay. Sure.
There's a lot just about Roman Reigns where it's just, it just feels like that's the only place they're going with this guy.
Yeah. I mean, the booking, whatever. It's just my main concern here is Gallows and Anderson, but we'll talk about that later.
Brian Kendrick was out to take on Akira Tozawa based on last week's segment on 205 Live. Tozawa refuses to shake his hand. So I guess now in the Cruiserweight division, shaking the hand signals the start of a match because the hand was not it. They didn't shake hands. So Kendrick attacks him, but this did not signal the start of the match. Instead, he just drove Tozawa's ear into the metal portion of the turnbuckle, applied the captain's hook to silence, and then as Kendrick left, then the fans booed him. So we did not get our Kendrick-Tozawa match, which is now scheduled for Tuesday night.
Right. You're suggesting that unless the competitors physically shake hands before the match, the bell doesn't get rung.
I guess so. That's what I watched happen here. Like, why wouldn't the bell just ring when he attacked them? They're having a fight.
Haven't guys ignored the handshake and just begun matches?
Plenty of times, but I guess not in this cruiserweight division. Like, why did the match just begin when, okay, they're not going to shake hands, and then Kendrick attacked him? Yeah, that is the basis of a match.
That's every other match on this show. You're right. Like, the match should have just begun. But there's on occasion, attacks will be so, like, I mean, we had Sami Zayn basically get destroyed.
Like, what kind of like awful officiating was that to allow this man who's been repeatedly thrown into a post? Yeah, sure, let's send him in for a match.
It was the opposite Mario Yamasaki, where the match gets started too early rather than stopped too late.
Did you watch that ending to Derek Lewis and Travis Brown on Sunday?
I watched it only on Derek Lewis's social media with the Edmonds Corner call from the Ronda Rousey fight.
Oh, God. The head movement one?
Inserted over top of the finish. Yeah.
God.
He's very
Yes. Oh, that
Derek
was
Lewis
brutal.
has been great on social media. But anyway, here, Kendrick and Tozawa. I mean, I thought Kendrick, I thought the performers themselves did about as good as they could have. I feel like Kendrick delivered his attack with great intensity, but unfortunately it didn't seem to resonate with this audience who didn't react to it at all. And I mean, I'll say again, it's clear to me that they're really prepping Aries for some type of, to make his debut pretty soon, because I feel like he's using every opportunity to kind of get himself over as much as he can. And I'm sure that's not happening without some direction. However, in this scenario where Kendrick has the captain's hook on Tozawa, and you know how Tozawa has like a mouth guard? So this is like, your dramatic moment of the match. Tozawa is like screaming on the captain's hook, and Aries says, "What's that in his mouth? Is he eating an orange?"
Yeah.
It was like he's eating half an orange. Just takes you right out of that moment. So, like, I know the guy's trying to get himself over, but I think there are bad places to do it, and this was another one of those.
The hardest working individuals in this segment were the guys who had to set up the entire ring for this non-match.
Sure. Yeah. They were putting overtime in overtime tonight with the reinforcing of the ring as well.
Yeah, I mean, we had multiple cruiserweight segments and then the reinforcement of the ring. Mm-hmm. Charlie interviewed Brian Kendrick backstage. He says no one disrespects him. He was offered his first WWE contract 17 years ago, and no one else was. And Akira Tozawa has a lot of learning to do based on the fact that he is not going to be his protege.
Yeah, but no sign of Tajiri at all.
No, though I'm sure if you asked Vince, he was like, "What are you talking about? We did an angle with him tonight." Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows against Roman Reigns in our handicap rematch from last week. Anderson and Gallows got the heat early, wore down Reigns, double-teamed him. Gallows then got a chair. Reigns stopped both of them as he takes the chair, starts using it on both of them for a DQ at 4 minutes, and then Reigns hit a Superman punch to Gallows, and then, in the most impressive thing here, Anderson leaped off the top and was caught with a spear in midair by Roman Reigns, and he just drilled Anderson down to the mat.
That looked great. What enhanced it was when they decided to cut away to this one woman they did a close-up on in the crowd who was just screaming for blood. Like this woman who otherwise would, you would assume would be kind of very, not screaming for blood in her daily life. They managed to capture her in like her most violent. And yeah.
She was the Page actress's mother. Just here to watch the scenes after.
Yeah, but Gallows and Anderson, I think I wouldn't have a problem with this at all. I mean, like the crowd reacted to this for Reigns. Crowd actually like cheered Reigns in this, but I wouldn't have a problem with this at all if you weren't doing this to your tag team champions. I mean, you had a match earlier in the night setting up number one contenders for the tag team championship, and now you're basically telling me the entire division is not good enough to have to beat Roman Reigns in a 2-on-1 handicap match. They were going 50-50 here with Roman Reigns 2-on-1. So it's hard for me not to see the entire division as below Roman Reigns after this. So, you're kind of making all these number one contendership matches kind of seem weak and by default. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this tag division is just so feels like. I mean, you have certain acts that are over within the tag division, but there isn't one combination of teams that has me interested at all.
Right, and especially if you book them you book your champions in situations like this to very little gain, in my opinion. It's hard to take it seriously.
The New Day was on TMZ Live on Monday, announcing that they will host WrestleMania. And watching this segment, I could not imagine. Say I was that woman you just described who doesn't look like someone that is cheering for blood. Pretend they're not even a wrestling fan. Watching this, I don't know what you would make of the New Day. I'd be so confused if I was just a person at home watching these guys on this show, just interrupting one another, just getting as many of their catchphrases in as possible. It was just overwhelming.
Yeah, if you're not...
That if you don't get the New Day, you would have been lost watching this on TMZ Live today.
I imagine if you're not regularly exposed to these guys in the professional wrestling program, you probably just see them as like these really annoying people.
Really irritating.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think like what the equivalent would be. Like it would maybe be like us watching something and seeing like what am I thinking of?
Urkel.
Okay. I was thinking more. You know who this PewDiePie is on YouTube?
Yes.
Do you watch any of his videos?
No.
Because I don't, but I'll see this guy pop up from time to time, and I don't know what he's about. I don't get his appeal at all. I'm sure he's great, but like he just seems really obnoxious to me. And I'm sure like if you're a regular subscriber of his videos, you'll probably understand his appeal. But when I just see glimpses of his personality in mainstream media, it's just anything but endearing. So I wonder if it's a similar effect.
So the New Day is hosting WrestleMania, which theoretically means they're not going to have a match at the show.
Which I think is a perfectly good role for them. I mean, why force another match just to cram guys on the card when, you know, these three especially are more personality than in-ring anyway?
Is this going to lead to the giant ice cream machine being unveiled at WrestleMania?
That would make sense. They've been building this up for a long time. I think that is their WrestleMania program.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
Lana's in the ring. She brings out Rusev and Hard Body Mahal, as he's being called now. Xavier comes out with Kofi and Big E, and he plugs his YouTube channel. He's going to be hosting the South by Southwest Gaming Awards, and the three of them are working on their VO skills to play the hyenas in the new Lion King movie, which they stressed was not a joke. And they are also working on their ice cream. They got an ice cream chant. And then Kofi says the Bo Dallas destroyed their blueprints, but they have photographic memories, and they put the blueprints back together, and he reveals a tablet that he has placed them all on here. He's got an iPad.
He's got digital blueprints now.
Yes. So then Lana has her own iPad in the ring, and she has the plans on her tablet. And and New Day doesn't believe that she has the ice cream plans. I can't believe I'm recapping this. But then Lana starts to read off the ingredients of their ice cream machine.
Yeah.
It involves a flux.
I don't know if it's even the machine. I think it's just the ingredients of the
actual ice cream?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it involves a flux capacitor, 2 drops of booty juice, a pinch of owl.
I'm only laughing because you're reading this.
And 3 hairs of unicorns.
Uh-huh.
And in the lone line that got an enormous reaction here, one of them asks, how did she get the plans? And Big E replied, she's Russian, you know.
Yeah.
As Kofi called her a hacker.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the Russian hacker joke...
It's very good.
Yeah, it was the punchline of this whole thing, and I thought it was very funny. You know, again, I think a lot of people will hate this stuff, but I feel like these guys are just here for mid-card comedy, and again,
they have a place on the show.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, they're a popular group to a lot of people.
Certainly with the people in the crowd, and I feel like the challenge for them every single week now is how can we work these ice cream plans into these matches. And they managed, to me, they were kind of successful in it again today. You know, they've been able to do more with these ice cream plans than they ever did with the tag titles. You know, let's be honest. The ice cream plans are more talked about and probably better booked than the tag team titles are at the moment. So, ice cream plans and then tag titles.
In that order.
Yeah.
Hard body Mahal and Rusev against Kofi and Big E. Big E tagged in and slammed and splashed Mahal. Rusev then stopped the big ending with a boot to the face of Big E. Kingston then dove to the floor. Woods then blasted his trombone behind Lana, who then tosses the iPad up in the air, and he catches it, and then he destroys Lana's iPad.
I felt bad for this iPad, man.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
If she hacked into, let's say, these plans on the New Day's Dropbox, why would you have to destroy the iPad? I mean, if she has the intelligence to hack into your plans, what does it matter about the physical iPad?
John.
I could do this from any device.
You're throwing actual human logic into what is basically a Roadrunner sketch, you know? I mean, that's kind of the joke, is that, like, it means nothing. He destroyed this iPad, like... Anyway.
Wouldn't this have made more sense if Rusev came and just stole their iPad and then Woods got it back?
Stop asking whether or not this makes sense. Like, this is... They're fighting over blueprints for ice cream. Like, there's no need to think about it. You know?
This could have been so much easier to understand.
Are you looking for, like, Riverdale type of writing with this ice cream plan?
Yes, I'm looking for the amount of logic that the CW aims for their 16-year-old female demographic on their shows.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be getting it.
That's all I want out of Broadway. 16-year-olds to be able to look at it and say, yeah, okay.
So Xavier smashes this iPad, and it gets a USA chant, which is great. You know, I do think Lana's kind of over-the-top, very cartoonish Russian character is a great foil for, like, the New Day in this, you know, very much over-the-top, stupid storyline. So I
think they should really push the Russian hacking stuff.
Yeah.
I think this would be great. Like, the New Day should hold an election on what flavor of ice cream they are going to create.
Brilliant.
And Lana and Rusev tamper the results. So it's like handsome. What would be a good flavor?
Yeah, what's the flavor they would
handsome jalapeno is the flavor that wins, and everyone's like, that's disgusting. That's awful. You've ruined the ice cream. But it won the election.
I think that's brilliant.
And then it's revealed that Lana and Rusev affected the results, and Bootio Chocolate was the actual winner.
And then maybe they'll uncover that.
Rusev and Lana, the day after WrestleMania, are impeached from Raw.
Yeah.
And have to go to SmackDown.
Or maybe there's like a secretary of ice cream relations that Lana and Rusev hired, and it's discovered that this person only got this job because their family funded the whole campaign.
Yes, General Mahal had contact with with Stephanie McMahon about sanctions for ice cream flavors before the election of the flavors.
Well, I love it. That's
Jinder Flynn. This would be great. These are my new two favorite characters now, Rusev and Lana.
Make sure somebody is writing all this down, okay? We don't want to forget all that.
Yes.
I do hope they continue the joke, though. I think Rusev and Lana really aren't doing anything else, so, you know, why not keep this going?
Then they aired the George the Animal Steele tribute video. There's some great photos here. I mean, one of the things I wrote about George Steele was that this guy was just such a incredible visual. Everything about him was so visual. The chest, the tongue, everything about him.
He was really ugly.
The turnbuckle. If you were watching this guy on mute, he would jump through the screen of just what you were watching.
Yeah. I agree.
Anyway.
These clips and these interviews featured such names as Kevin Hart, former WCW World Champion David Arquette.
Two people that I knew one day would be part of a George the Animal Steele tribute.
Right. Kevin Hart, of course, and his brother Brett.
I didn't even put those two together. Yeah. Kevin and Brett were both in this.
Yeah, the Hart Foundation, the new Hart Foundation.
That's awesome. Oh, fuck. And 2 of them won WCW titles. Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Austin Aries is in the ring for the contract signing alongside Jack Gallagher. And we've got a table set up with Union Jacks, tea, and cookies.
Yeah.
Gallagher calls Neville delusional, and he has a chance to unseat the king of the cruiserweights. So Neville comes out, immediately signs the contract, and goes to leave when Gallagher offers him a cookie. Neville mocks all of the British stereotypes that Gallagher is perpetuating here, calling him a caricature and a stereotype that doesn't really exist. He says the real streets of England look like him, ugly and rough around the edges. And Gallagher says that he is what Neville said that you are what the WWE Universe wanted me to be. Playing with an umbrella, twisting my mustache, and the people are actually laughing at Gallagher. And this is when Gallagher says he was brought up a gentleman. He's not playing one. This is the way he was raised. He won't stand for Neville believing he is better than anyone else. And then Neville tosses his table over, and they start to fight, ending with Gallagher headbutting him and sending Neville to the floor.
Yeah, and then Neville comes back, and Gallagher points the tip of the umbrella at Neville's throat. I thought Neville was just tremendous here. This week, he dropped all the King stuff and cut this really just scathing promo that I feel like injected a ton of reality and depth into this storyline, which was, I mean, he's telling the truth. You're playing a stereotype, you know? I feel like, and it's true. Like, I much prefer that angle to this whole feud than whatever King stuff he was doing. And I thought Gallagher's comeback, you know, Gallagher could have seemed like a real, like, fool in this whole thing, like being pointed out, being called out for being a stereotype. But I thought Gallagher came back really strong too. Gallagher says how he is truly this person and he's not playing a stereotype. And I thought both came across really well. In my opinion, I feel like a bit more physicality would have been really good. I thought the umbrella at the end might have been a little too comedic for the scenario because they built up a lot of, like, you know, realism and seriousness here. But overall, I thought both guys came across really well.
Then we had Nia Jax against Sarah Pierce. And Nia dropped her with a forearm, threw her by the hair, and then hit a Samoan drop and pinned her in 35 seconds. Charlie interviewed Nia in the ring. She says the only controversy is she hasn't received the title match, calls the people sheep, and that Charlotte and Bayley are little girls, and she would shove that crutch down their throats and is putting the champion on notice.
Yeah. You know, you compare like one of Nia's promos now to when she debuted, and she certainly gained a lot of confidence. I feel like she's still probably far from where they want her to be for a monster role like she has, but I still feel like they'll probably put the title on her soon. You know, if because I feel like they're using the title to give these girls confidence, you know, and that tells me she'll probably win soon.
For Black History Month, they aired a feature on Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States. This just felt odd on a show with, I mean, such ties to the Trump presidency and the fact that this guy is in their Hall of Fame, the guy who essentially spearheaded the birther movement, and then they took time here to honor Barack Obama. This is such a strange show for its politics that you find.
Right, yeah. The body of the show, though, has always kind of stayed away from the whole, at least the current Trump drama, you know. And really, this is not necessarily like, you know, any comment on Barack Obama's, I guess, political sidings. It's more just to respect him as a prominent African American, I guess, which they seem to be able to get away with, I think.
Yeah, and I don't really feel that they are going to, as time goes on, that they are going to inject any kind of political messages into their show either.
Yeah.
As easy as it would be right now to incorporate anything with Donald Trump, it's just such an awkward predicament for this company. And I think it would anger not just their audience, but I think a lot of the performers on this show, for instance, I'm sure if you're a Sami Zayn.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine,
uncomfortable
seeing that photo last week of your employers with the president at a time when it's a pretty divisive time politically, that I just feel you would be going into a territory that would not be worth it at this point, as easy as it might be.
It's true. But what does this mean for the New Day Russian hacker ice cream angle?
Well, you know what? To me, that's a golden opportunity. That could maybe test the limits of where they could go politically right now, because I mean, the McMahons don't have any allegiance right now to the Russians that we know of.
Instead of ice cream, maybe they'll try to replace it with whatever they haven't, some Russian dessert that Americans would find nasty.
I mean, tonight on the show, they didn't even have a tribute video for the former leader of the Russians, Ivan Koloff.
Yeah, I guess.
Bayley comes out and receives chants of "You deserve it," and
lots of those going around.
Yes, quite the divisive chant as well. She says she grew up in California. Did you know that? Oh yeah, California, which covers a lot of ground. Then she said she grew up alongside her best friends. And me and my friends, we had the biggest dreams. We wanted to be dental hygienists. Which is my new favorite line of all time.
Jeez.
We wanted to be dental hygienists. Which, as I've said on this show, was an early career path that I looked at when I was a young John Pollock.
Could you imagine yourself as a dental hygienist? I could. Sure, if you were my dentist, we probably... Would you want to talk, though, or would you not want to talk?
No, definitely not. I would not want to be talking. But I have a feeling most people that go to the dentist don't want to talk either. I think most are like me.
Yeah, not while I'm getting worked on. It's just awkward.
You have the TV there.
Yeah.
Just clean.
Yeah.
You tell them to floss. You're not flossing enough. Watch out for, you have the makings of a cavity. Worry a little bit. Here's your toothbrush. I know I'm drastically simplifying what a dental hygienist does. It's a very difficult job. I couldn't do it.
7 years of schooling, you just summed it up right there.
Well, we got a look at Bayley's friends here. One of them wanted to be a dental hygienist. One wanted to be Britney Spears. One wanted to be a tattoo artist. And she wanted to be in the WWE.
Wide range of options for any young girl.
When you think about it, I mean, the mechanics of it, I mean, tattoo artist and dental hygienist, I mean, probably some crossover there.
Yeah, sure. They both use tools. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to have, immaculate precision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Britney Spears, you literally could not grow up to be Britney Spears. I mean, you could want to be maybe a compliment to Britney Spears, follow in her footsteps, but you could not grow up to be Britney Spears. Mm. She can't explain what winning the title felt like last week, but then goes on to explain that it was awesome. She called her dad after winning and says, "My dad is here tonight." But we never saw him. She just said, "Dad, I did it."
He's sitting in the rafters.
They couldn't get a camera up there, I guess. Yeah. Bayley has not hooked them up with tickets all these years later. As a thank you. Stephanie comes out and asks if Bayley ever envisioned winning the title in a sold-out arena, which it was far from last week. Or did she envision almost losing and having someone come and use a cheap shot to help Bayley win, giving her a tainted victory? And if, when she called her dad was silent, wondering if it was really Sasha that won the match for Bayley, and that all these kids, even Stephanie's own daughters, look up to Bayley, but asks if she's willing to throw all that away to hold a title she didn't really earn, and says that the Bayley that she knows would relinquish the title, and the crowd is not having any of this. They're all chanting no. Bayley takes off the title to tease that she might hand it over when Sasha comes out, and Stephanie mocks the fact that Sasha is always coming to Bayley's rescue and treating her like a charity case. And Sasha says that Bayley won this title fair and square. Bayley is like a sister to her, and she won't let Bayley give up what she worked for. Bayley, they love you, and I love you. And Stephanie asks if Sasha wants her to have the title because she knows she can't beat Charlotte, even though this has happened on TV a million times over the past year. But she could beat Bayley. Bayley then stops everyone and says the title is bigger than anyone. She didn't work for this to appear that she was handed anything, and says that the title should represent happiness and competition, not controversy. Happy this way.
Yeah, that's what it represents to me. Happiness.
The new Raw Women's Happy title holder.
Yes. Yeah.
She asks the audience what she should do and then says, hell no, I'm not handing over this Raw Women's title, and points out it's the third time she's pinned Charlotte, and it wasn't because of Sasha, but because of the fans that she beat Charlotte, and she's going to fight for all of them. Now, before Charlotte comes out, what did you think of the tease of Bayley relinquishing the title?
I thought it was well done. I mean, I thought they really seemed to have the full participation of the crowd throughout this entire thing. Steph was great, as always. I mean, I think Steph really drove the segment. I think Bayley, again, like, her delivery is far from polished, and I wonder how much of it is intentional, because I feel like she's been able to cut good promos in the past, but I feel like they have her kind of like, it's almost seeming intentionally a little awkward and stuttery in segments like these, to kind of like endear her as like a little child. So in comparison to some of the others, she's certainly far less smooth in her delivery. I do feel like she managed to hit that note for that swerve at the end and seemed to, deliver like that passionate, I'm never giving this up type of speech that, you need from a character like that by the end.
So Charlotte's out, apologizes to Stephanie on behalf of the women's division for these two ingrates. She says she's going to take Bayley's title back and is invoking her rematch clause for Fastlane. Sasha then says, hey, my knee's improving, and challenges Charlotte to a match tonight. And Charlotte accepts, stating she'll put Sasha in a wheelchair forever after tonight. She's going to cripple her.
Yeah.
What a promise. And we are going to have the rematch at Fastlane Way. What is going to happen?
Well, I don't think Charlotte can lose, so I'm assuming Charlotte will win.
Well, that's that. What a conclusion.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the Sasha turn on her sister, who she loves, at Fastlane?
No, I don't think so. I think if anything, they might. Maybe they'll save it for Mania. Maybe they'll save it for the post-Mania program between the two, because I feel like they'll want to go in maybe with a bit more balance to the four-way with two baby faces and two heels.
Yeah, I don't understand this. I don't understand if we're just going to flip this title right back to her at Fastlane. Maybe they have some grand plan here. Maybe Nia's going to get involved.
Or maybe they'll just have the like some controversial finish and they'll just put the title up, vacate the title for all four of them. As long as you don't have Charlotte lose.
Yeah, that's kind of weird then if you have a non-finish when it's been so... The streak has been all about her winning. It's like, does that mean the streak's done?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
they really kind of put themselves into a corner here, Like, it's...
Like, it was such a great moment last week, but the second you just look at it, it's like, why is this happening on February... Whatever the date was last week.
Right.
On February the 13th of 2017 and not 2 months later.
But like I said, they seem to use these titles now, at least for the women. They're using them not necessarily as the end goal, but kind of as tools to help them get to the main event rather than being, their ultimate goal.
It's a great point because come WrestleMania, Bayley may have 2 title reigns, but how many ice cream flavors will she have?
Well, that's definitely
0
here. Yeah, that's something she needs to start working on, her blueprints.
So Charlotte and Sasha had a singles match, and I think I'm safe in saying, Wai, this was the most basic match they have had on TV since being on the main roster. I mean, this was not one of their big classics.
Right, and it wasn't a main event,
No, it wasn't designed to be. I mean, they still went 10 minutes. Charlotte drove her knee into the back of the neck of Sasha, was wearing her down, had this dragon sleeper applied, and was using backbreakers in between while holding on to the submission. They go down to the floor. Dana runs down, and then Bayley, who's on commentary, runs and attacks Dana. And then Sasha gets into the ring with Charlotte, hits the backstabber into the bank statement, and taps out Charlotte in 10 minutes and 2 seconds.
Right. Yep. I think, it's apparent that all three of these girls are very much over right now. I feel like
you're talking about Dana and which others?
No, not Dana excluded, but the three of the four horsewomen, I think, are three of the more over personalities on the show overall, at least judging by the crowd reaction. So they've been successful with all of them. Nia, I feel like is still a question, but they have at least a month to kind of get her up there.
In a four-way, they'll build around that fun. I mean, I'm not too worried about that match at all. Then they had the Diamond Dallas Page Hall of Fame video, which started with the voiceover giving us a definition of diamonds. And we went through all these, I'm not going to say career highlights. It was mainly WCW highlights with not a second devoted to his WWE run.
There's not much there. Oh, you mean the invasion?
The invasion.
They didn't have show him
by
as
Sarah as the motivational speaker.
Yeah, they didn't show him as the stalker.
There wasn't anything from the WWE, which I found interesting because usually it's sometimes flipped where there's too much emphasis, even if it's a failed WWE run. They didn't even bother here. There was nothing of note from the WWE.
I feel like there was some time that it was even questioned whether or not he'd be inducted because he had such a shitty WWE run. But I mean, if anything, I feel like now he's being inducted for as much as what he's done post-wrestling as he is for stuff that he's done during wrestling.
Well, as much as he's done, I mean, the stuff that's documented with Jake and with Scott Hall, and it's admirable what he's done. But on top of that, I mean, Chris Jericho always credits doing this DDP yoga for saving his back after he messed it up years ago. And same with AJ at the end of 2015 when his back was a mess. And he did the DDP yoga and then ended up doing the Nakamura match.
And don't forget, John Pollock.
That's right. The biggest one of all. I mean, just DDP yoga, my gateway into kickboxing with Wai Ting.
Yes. How's the yoga going?
It's going well. I'm still doing it.
Excellent.
Yeah. I put on this one program the other day, and usually these things are like 20, 25 minutes. This one was like 52 minutes.
Wow.
I didn't finish.
I should do one with you. I'd like to try it out.
There's a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yoga. Okay, so DDP going into the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Charlie is with Sami Zayn backstage, and Charlie brings up the fact that Sami predicted that Kevin Owens would turn on Chris Jericho and asks, "Are you ready to say that you told them so?" And he says he's not happy about the fact that he turned out to be right. But yes, he predicted that Owens would turn on Jericho. He knows Owens well and that Owens and Joe are similar. They're terrible people. And eventually time catches up to people like them, which I thought he meant like they're going to die. He says that he's going to meet Joe at Fastlane, but now he has to deal with Owens before he gets to Fastlane. For 205 Live, they have announced Kendrick against Tozawa, Mustafa Ali against Noam Dar, and Jack Gallagher against Tony Nese for Tuesday night. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were set to have a match when Zayn was making his entrance and Joe attacked him on the ramp, sent him into the steps, into the post repeatedly, and then hit him with a senton. Sami Zayn was dead, but then got rolled into the ring, and he insisted on having the match, to which Owens obliged, killing him with clotheslines, a cannonball, and a pop-up powerbomb, and he pinned Zayn in 1:13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably the shortest match these two have ever had in their entire careers together.
Oh, you think so?
I would double-check with Pat LaPrade, but I would imagine 1:13 is the shortest singles match these two have ever had.
Anyway, I thought it was all good stuff here, added to both programs here, and Goldberg and Owens and Joe and Zayn, and I thought a very intense, experienced, full of energy beatdown from Samoa Joe, about as good as it gets for those types of things. And Rick Rubin seemed to love this. He was standing up for it, ringside.
Mr. Smoky Mountain, Rick Rubin. I had totally forgotten about Braun Strowman and Big Show, so when I saw 10:40 on the clock, I thought these two were going like 30 minutes.
Well, how long did they go? It wasn't a short match.
Owens and Zayn?
Oh, sorry. I thought.
Sorry, no. When Owens and Zayn came out, I had totally forgotten about the main event coming after. So we did not get a 30-minute match from Owens and Zayn. This is when they came back from break, and they did have a graphic for Ivan Koloff.
Right. Before that, sorry, they showed a tail of the tape with Show and Strowman, and they have the Big Show billed now at 383 pounds, as opposed to Braun Strowman's 385.
Ooh.
Strowman.
And didn't they have Big Show listed at like 7'2" or something ridiculous?
It was 7. Strowman was.
Oh, okay, 7 feet.
Strowman was 6'8". I mean, which is not ridiculous, of course. 7 feet. What is his legit height? You know,
Big Show?
Yeah.
Oh, probably. I don't know. 6'7", 6'8".
Anyway,
that would be my guess.
So Strowman seems to be the biggest guy right now, officially under WWE weights.
All right. Well, there we have 385. That's the new quote unquote weight of Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Big Show slimmed down.
Yeah. So yeah, they had the Ivan Koloff graphic, which at least they had something. Stephanie is with Mick Foley in the office and says that Stephanie put herself in a position to be embarrassed tonight with Bayley, and Stephanie tells Mick not to test her like one of her children and calls it insubordination, and that Mick's time off last week has not changed his attitude, and Foley gets upset here, telling Stephanie not to treat him like he's stupid. He believed in her, and now Seth Rollins is out for another WrestleMania, and he mentions advocating for Samoa Joe all the way back in 2004 and refuses to be belittled by Stephanie or Hunter or let their greed get in the way of what is right, and acknowledges that this is career suicide. And Stephanie, as Mick goes to leave, says, "There's a cord on the floor. I wouldn't want you to have an accident." So, Wai, the natural question here, are we going to have a character killed off here? Are we going to get a season-long murder mystery on Raw?
I don't know. And then who did it? Yeah, they seem to be certainly suggesting that Mick will be receiving an impending attack. Maybe even a write-off from appearing on this show. So
it's definitely coming.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think this leads to?
Foley being fired, I guess, at some point.
Probably being destroyed, but I mean,
I don't think they'll do anything physical with him.
Oh, you don't think so? Not even.
I don't think they will.
Not even something. Not even something. Just kind of like like him coming back from break and just having like knocked out on the floor. That type of thing.
A phantom attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they could do, but not actually. Like with him, it's the same with like Brian. I mean, when you're talking about head stuff, they're not doing anything physical. But yeah, you could do a phantom attack and someone's killed Mick.
To the benefit of which program, you think?
To the benefit of what do you mean?
Which match? What feud? I mean, to any or just Stephanie?
I mean, presumably it's if Mick is gone, that would allow for Hunter to come back in, right, and have his role.
Right.
So it could be Joe could be the one that gets the credit for taking out Foley.
Right, because Foley has been bringing up Samoa Joe.
Yeah,
often.
That could be the way to do it, and probably happens not too much after Fastlane, I would guess. I would think that if you're bringing back Hunter, Mick's kind of like once you have Hunter on the show every week going into WrestleMania, I don't know what Mick Foley's role is at that point.
Right.
So I don't know when it's happening. He needs that hip surgery at some point, and it's all a matter of when they eventually write him off here. Michael Cole is backstage for a sit-down interview with Brock Lesnar, who was advertised for this show and was with Paul Heyman. Heyman says that Lesnar is on edge and anxious, so Lesnar ends up taking Michael Cole's seat and taking it over to the camera, sitting backwards on the chair, very 1993 angry, and stares.
What do you mean?
I don't know. That was
what's 1993 angry?
The backwards chair deal.
Oh, like how Slater.
Yes.
Always sit?
Maybe I'm just associating it with the 90s, but it feels like a 90s thing.
People only sat like that in the 90s.
Who was the last person you've seen to sit backwards on a chair?
I mean, I feel like I've sat backwards in a chair at some point in the past 5 years.
Okay, well, next time you do, I'll remind you it's not cool. So and this was actually set up very well, where it's Lesnar staring into the camera as Heyman cut the promo and going over his own thoughts about Kevin Owens, but how Lesnar disagrees, such as Owens being the most violent man in the company, and that if Goldberg hits a spear and a jackhammer at Fastlane, he will win the title. And he ends it by stating that the Beast will conquer at WrestleMania regardless. And yeah, this was fine. I mean, some people were just raving about this. I mean, I thought it was fine. It was a Paul Heyman promo.
Yeah, it was essentially just another Heyman promo, but with the more visually interesting environment this week than, typical of him coming out and talking. And I mean, I think we're so used to Heyman cutting this level of promo that for me, it just kind of seems like not that impressive anymore. But I mean, I guess if you compare him to like the vast majority of people cutting promos on the show, then of course he's great. But here, overall, I don't think that much was said,
I've got to say, I mean, I guess the WWE, they want whatever dates they can get with Lesnar, and having him there every week, it's something they can advertise, but this was
pointless.
I don't know why he's on these shows until Fastlane's over. It's like you can't even have Heyman cut a coherent promo because you don't even know if you're cutting a promo for the title match at WrestleMania. Bill's in another program now with Owens, and it's like Lesnar has no place on this show. Mm-hmm. None. And I'd rather these promos be saved for after Fastlane, when you're going to need Heyman going out there and doing 10-minute promos every week. And yeah, it just seems like he's on here just to be on here for the sake of it. And I don't even look at Lesnar as the kind of ratings mover that is so significant that needs to be here.
Oh, something like this I don't think would have done anything for the ratings.
Nothing. Like no one's, I feel like Lesnar is not a big difference maker on, he's not a special enough attraction where he's going to make a giant difference, nor do they even promote his appearances week to week. Yeah. I mean, you have to kind of search it on yourself on the website to see if he's actually on the show.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it's just a case of them booking these dates with him in advance and they have a contract with him for these dates and that he has to appear or he has to get paid for these anyway. I don't know, because otherwise it would seem like it's very poor value.
One day someone's got to, maybe it'll be Heyman. He'll have to write a book about the Brock Lesnar WWE agreement and just have it, just put it all out onto a paper for us. Next week on the show, this is weird. They've got Lesnar and Goldberg on the show next week. What the hell do you do with these two on the show together on your go-home show for Fastlane?
Well, I don't even know if you should put Brock Lesnar on that show. I mean, they had, the last time Goldberg was there, didn't they just not have Brock appear?
Yeah, last time he just showed up after he did like a dark segment.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it really is a case of like less is more, and do you want Brock to kind of interfere with what you're trying to build with Goldberg? I don't know.
Unless they have some idea where Lesnar's going to tease getting involved at Fastlane, but I don't know.
We don't even know if he'll be at Fastlane.
He's not supposed to be at Fastlane.
I mean, then it's kind of pointless, isn't it?
What a confusing character to use, Brock Lesnar. The recently retired from MMA Brock Lesnar. Yeah.
Maybe they could have him like
commentary.
Yeah.
Oh, could you imagine him and Byron?
I was gonna say like they could have him sell merchandise or something.
He could do one of those KFC ads.
Yes, he could dress up as the Colonel.
Oh, I would love Morrow and Brock on commentary. That would be such fun. They also announced
calling a Goldberg match, which was the opposite of Brock Lesnar's debut.
Brock can call the finish.
Yeah. Morrow and Goldberg called Brock's debut.
Yes. We could have a Goldberg versus Min-Soo Kim.
Wow.
In Los Angeles, which is where they were on Monday night.
Yeah, all works out.
They also announced next week a sit-down interview with Seth Rollins. So we will get an update on him. Ring crew is then shown reinforcing the ring for the main event, which someone asked me, why don't they reinforce it for the Royal Rumble? And I defer to Wai's comments when I tried to explain the iPad controversy. Braun and Big Show. The crowd started chanting, "This is awesome," as they tied up to start. Then Strowman had a wrist lock applied to him. He did a roll through and then a kip up. From this moment on, he had this crowd in his back pocket.
Oh, yeah.
They were so impressed that this guy did a kip up.
Impressive,
And
it is.
yeah. Show shoved him down, like just schoolboy style here, where he tripped him. That was always the trick you did at school. You'd always get your foot in behind the guy, so it guaranteed that even if you weren't strong enough, he'd slip off and lose his balance, and you'd fall.
Mm-hmm. That's a legit takedown.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Strowman drops him with a clothesline and then hits a running boot. Runs at Show, who grabs him by the throat, but Strowman stops him, hitting a DDT. They battle out of the corner for a vertical suplex, with Show winning out and hitting it. And then Show splashes him in the corner, hits a shoulder tackle, calls for the choke slam, and hits it, but Strowman kicks out. Big Show climbs the ropes for a Vader bomb, and Strowman yanks the legs out. And then a power slam gets blocked by Big Show. He places Braun on the top turnbuckle, and everybody facing the hard cameras gets up out of their seat to stand up at this tease of a superplex, to the point that when Braun blocked it, the fans booed because they were so invested in this visual of seeing the Big Show superplex Braun Strowman.
And I would think most of the people in the crowd were able to recognize that spot because of the Brock Big Show spot with the ring collapse, and the Mark Henry Big Show spot with the ring collapse. And you know, even suggesting that they've reinforced the ring to prevent that from happening. I think put in everybody's minds that you know, this tease was set in motion. So I love that callback.
Yeah, they were like, sorry guys, we're filming The Rock's movie in 20 minutes. We're not destroying this ring. So Strowman stops him, and then Strowman leaps off the turnbuckle into the knockout punch, which is a pretty protected finish when it comes to the Big Show. I mean, not that he's running through guys, but that finish has been pretty well protected, and Strowman kicked out here with the near fall.
And it's believable because, I mean, he's punching a guy of similar size, so it's less effective.
So then Big Show climbs onto the turnbuckles again for a Vader bomb, and Strowman slumps underneath and tries to hit this power slam and just barely does so.
Yeah,
and
it was an awkward position to pick up from, and you could kind of tell maybe by this point in the match, the dude was probably maybe getting a little tired.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it was an audible that they did the kick out here, because I don't know if there's any value to the Big Show kicking out of Braun's big finish. Right. Just that it was hit so badly here. And they ended up getting up, and Braun just hit another power slam and pinned Big Show. 12 minutes and 9 seconds. If I were to tell you at the start of Raw that Braun and Big Show are the main event and they're going 12 minutes, you would be frightened. This match was so above what your expectation level would be. And I think it's Big Show in situations. He is a very underappreciated guy, and Braun's improvements, this match was evidence of it. I mean, minus the screw up on the first power slam, like, this was a well put together match. The crowd was into this. They teased this huge spot that they could always use with Braun later down the road. I'm glad they didn't do that superplex. I was very impressed with this match given who was involved here.
Yeah, me too. I think for these two to have a match like this, it definitely has to be seen as a real success for both men, especially for Braun Strowman, who I think, you know, with a match like this is able to bring a lot of confidence to the office as a future main eventer who is able to kind of hold his own in a main event spot. I'm also really curious to know, you know, how the ratings will be for this match, because, I mean, I feel like Braun is pretty well protected and featured right now, but the Big Show is really not a guy who's received any considerable airtime in a long, long time. So what you really only have to go by in this match is just the size of both men. And in the age of work rate, I'm really curious to know how well a match, simply based on the fact that these two men are really big, can perform in the ratings. But at least quality-wise, I'd say, you know, we got to see many different sides of Strowman here, being able to work against a bigger opponent, having to wrestle a lengthier bout and being able to keep it interesting. And, you know, he was able to demonstrate agility and athleticism, and basically, in contrast, the Big Show seemed like a newer, improved version of the big man. So overall, another successful night for him.
And, I mean, all the discussion has been about this Shaq match. This finish to me, I mean, is this even a direction? Like, I can't imagine they're going ahead with this singles match and do this finish.
I think that should be Strowman's spot.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It should be, like, it makes no sense to have the Big Show in that high profile of a match at WrestleMania when Braun, like, what's his option? Being in the Battle Royal?
Right.
He's above the Battle Royal. Let's be honest.
There's far more to gain with the exposure for Braun Strowman versus Shaq than for the Big Show. But is the Big Show personally requesting? Is Shaq personally requesting the Big Show or something?
I don't. I mean, those two have just gone back and forth over the years about doing that match. It's always been those two kind of just pushing it themselves. But I mean, I watch this. I cannot possibly see that singles match coming out of this that you wouldn't protect the Big Show here and then like put Mark Henry in this role, for instance, to do the exact same kind of scenario with the Giants facing each other.
I'm trying to visualize what exactly that match would even entail. You know, Shaq,
Big Show, and Shaq.
Yeah, like it can't be anything more than just a 5-minute thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was at the Staples Center. You would think, like, if Shaq was involved, this would maybe have been the place to do it in. So, I mean, who knows what's happening with that? But I'm with you, too. It was like watching this with Braun. It was like he's your focus for WrestleMania. With all due respect to Big Show, I mean, he's not any kind of priority for WrestleMania.
Maybe that could still be Strowman's spot, where, like, you're advertising Shaq versus Big Show, but Strowman comes out and just lays both of them out.
After the match, after Braun had just pulled off this, both of them pulled this off, Reigns comes out immediately and attacks Strowman with a Superman punch, and this crowd just wants none of Roman. It takes 2 Superman punches to knock down Braun, and then he goes for the spear but gets cut off with Braun hitting a drop kick and then power slamming Roman Reigns. And Braun Strowman felt like the biggest babyface in the company here at the end of the show.
He did, yeah.
I mean, on a show where you didn't have Rollins, you didn't have Jericho, you didn't have Goldberg, this guy certainly felt like the major focus of the show, especially when it ended. When it ended,
yeah, sure. I'll say. I mean, I'm trying to think who else. Like, you know, Kevin Owens was a big part of it. Bayley had a big segment. And I guess that's kind of it. Ice cream, yeah.
Yes, of course. This was a show that I didn't think dragged.
No, I actually enjoyed the show for what it was.
So there you have it. One more edition of Raw to go until Fastlane. And as we mentioned, Goldberg will be on the show with Lesnar next week. And hopefully not Chris Jericho next week.
I really hope so, too.
There's no need. I mean, that's really complicating that main event for Fastlane if you have Lesnar and Jericho on the show. There's definitely no need for that. And I like the fact Owens didn't even address it tonight. I mean, that can wait. You don't want to be going full in on 2 programs at once. I mean, the focus for the next 2 weeks should be Owens and Goldberg, and that was a great direction they went with that promo to start it, with Owens' singular focus on Bill Goldberg. All right, we'll do some feedback before we say goodnight. Let's go to Chupacabra. Not a bad show, not a good show, but it's Monday night, so it's the show. I like the Owens segment to start the show and love that he wouldn't address the Jericho situation yet. Makes it that much more important when Jericho returns. I hate seeing Roman Reigns single-handedly beat up the tag champions. Not a very eventful main event. I expected to see Shaq to set up the Shaq Big Show match at WrestleMania, and for a minute I thought we were getting the Big Show superplex collapsing ring again, but at least they kept Braun looking strong, so the match served its purpose.
We go to Cuz, who says, Cuz from LA here, I'm at Raw, and I thought Kevin Owens' opening segment was great, and the crowd was into it. It makes me wish that Jericho and Lesnar would interfere and cost Goldberg the match. Lesnar for revenge after the 2 squashes. Jericho because he wants Owens to have the title and challenge him for it at Mania. 2 interferences. Wow. Okay. The Rock also showed up 5 minutes before the show opened, and he told the audience that we would be part of the new film about Paige's family. The crowd was into it, and he asked us not to cheer for him because he wasn't coming out at all during the show, but afterwards would be great. And 45 minutes in, and I'm already satisfied with the direction of the show and looking forward to seeing what happens. Live update, Roman Reigns wants to fight the Club alone. Not a fan of that. Okay, he's updating us live.
Let's play by play. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to skip down a few here to Mark from Vaughn. He asks, do you think we're getting a super indie stable led by Triple H? We've obviously seen some threads being woven over the last few weeks. If they aren't just errand boys like Rollins, it would be cool.
I don't know if classifying it as a super indie stable needs to happen. I mean, if anything, they'll call it an NXT. I mean, and I don't think he will either. But it's not like he really can. He's really just kind of using the heels. You know, Sami Zayn's an indie guy. Finn Balor's an indie guy. I mean, technically, not really, but I mean, might as well. So, you know, there's Owens and there's Joe. Who else could you see being a part of that stable that would be considered an indie guy? Like Rude, he's not an indie guy, but like heels from NXT could be brought up and put under the Authority. Sure, it just seems like a natural progression, but I don't think Rude's coming up anytime soon. So I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know if the stable is really the way I want to see things go, but I mean,
I don't hate stables though. If anything, I feel like there's been a lack of stables in wrestling lately, especially looking at some of these cruiserweights and how they seem so separate from the rest of the show. I feel like every stable could use, you know, a tag team, and then a stable could use a heavyweight representative and a cruiserweight representative, and it'd be immediately beneficial to, you know.
Maybe that could be a stable. He's got a Owens, Joe, and then he's got a female. He's got a cruiserweight. Yeah. He'll get a British guy. He'll have every area covered.
Sure. I mean, that's kind of what is happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We go to Cuz is back with an update.
Oh my God.
I'm still live at the Staples Center. Bayley had a great segment going toe to toe with Steph. That led to a back and forth between Charlotte and Sasha. Those two had a good fight. Then someone had Sami Zayn as her guest at this time. I'm expecting a great match between Sami and KO. Well, keep us updated, Cuz.
Yeah, I'm excited now. Oh my God. Jesse from the 6. I enjoyed everything Owens did tonight, from his slow delivery, his breakdown of the strategy against Goldberg, to his suit and his line of, I know how to play the game. Usually when a heel doesn't explain why he turned on somebody, it's because the writers haven't figured out a good reason yet. But this week I thought it worked because it served to further heel Owens and refocus the attention on the Goldberg match. What I didn't enjoy was the rehashing of old feuds. Charlotte versus Sasha and Owens versus Zayn. No, don't tell Cuz that. Doesn't the WWE realize that when they constantly return to feuds, it makes them less special and less memorable? Why such a discrepancy between how George Steele and Ivan Koloff were treated? There was plenty of time for 2 video packages on the show.
I mean, I'll say with like the 2 rematches we saw tonight, they were not the focus at all of the segments. You know, Owens and Zayn didn't even occur. It was just a setup for both of their individual programs. And Charlotte and Sasha, I mean, they're going to work together at Mania in a 4-way, and it did include Bayley, the segment. So I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually would have had a bigger issue if Owens and Zayn had gone out there and had some like 25-minute classic just for no reason.
Yeah,
this was to further the Zayn Joe program and also put some heat on Owens, and I think all was accomplished in that.
Yeah, we go to Cuz from Arlington with a post-Raw report.
Oh, so stuff we haven't seen.
All right, Sami versus KO did not go as I expected, but if there were to be a new alliance between KO and Joe, I would not say no to it. I'm genuinely surprised to look down and see that it's 8 o'clock Pacific time and our main event is up next. This probably is the best possible match you could get out of Show and Strowman, with Braun showing some completely unexpected agility and dueling chants of "You still got it" and "No you don't," giving way to "This is awesome," and a great face moment for Show. As soon as the show goes off the air, The Rock comes out, makes fun of Roman, and says it was a great show. I agree. Now, in what might be the greatest moment in Raw history, he begins to tell the crowd what kind of cheers we would be doing for the movie, and he mentioned AJ Lee. The crowd erupts into a CM Punk chant. The Rock says he expected this and took out his cell phone and called CM Punk. He did not answer, and the whole audience cheered his name again, leaving a voicemail. CM Punk is called back, and he is now trying to get him on FaceTime.
Okay. Let's go to Cuz. Thea Trinidad is doing a good job of portraying AJ Lee. I miss Paige. Hearing her music makes me remember that she could really do things in the women's division. The Rock is gone. The CM Punk saga is over.
Let's go to Cuz. A great enough episode of Raw that I forgot to mention. An exceptional promo by Paul Heyman, along with an amazing image of Brock. Extra coverage. Tessa Blanchard is out now to wrestle the full match with Thea, as they just wrapped doing some moments with the actress playing Paige. All right. So
Okay.
I guess Tessa Blanchard was the double.
Yes.
Yeah. Rock is still in the building.
Yes. Let's do one final one here from Cuz. Hopefully Rock can keep this pace up because this was a great episode. It had a surreal moment, which in some other universe we can imagine that a genuine fan reaction and a cell phone call can lead to something exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everybody's feedback.
He's made 19 posts on our message board, and I think they were all on tonight's show. So thank you, Cuz, for the blow-by-blow of Monday's Raw taping from Staples Center.
Sorry to everybody else who wanted to get in on feedback but couldn't today.
All right. Well, that is it for us. We are going to wrap it up. Wai, when are we going to be chatting again?
How about Wednesday?
That's a great idea. We are going to discuss SmackDown, 205 Live, and Talking Smack. We've got a battle royal to name the new number one contender, which will probably last for a small amount of time. And then we've got matches for 205 Live announced and who knows what on Talking Smack. So we will be back Wednesday. We've also got the Law up from Sunday night, including rundowns of the careers of Ivan Koloff and George the Animal Steele, as well as a brief discussion, because her career was brief in pro wrestling, of Nicole Bass, and our interview with Matt Riddle, and of course Dave Meltzer on the show. So you can check that out. The entire 20-plus minute interview with Matt Riddle will also be up this week on the site, as will all of our regular shows at liveaudiowrestling.com. You can subscribe on iTunes, and I want to thank those that have recently left us reviews on iTunes. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Maybe we'll read some of them on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, yes. So that is all coming up later this week, and we'll speak with you then.
3 hairs of unicorns.
How she got the plans? How did she get the plans? You know, she's Russian, right? All right, chill. She's a hacker.